See that little pop on the top of the water there? That's a gizzard shad. That's a big shad. That is no. The shad is that's the bigger. Yeah. That's what the bigger fish are looking for. So I mean, we fished through here a couple times. Take that big topwater walking bait. Like that is, and I don't. They just kind of do that. That doesn't necessarily mean anything's chasing them, but the fact that we found those, that's kind of what we're looking for. I'm not saying we're going to catch like a giant bass, but better than what we've been catching. I really like seeing that.
Yeah.
Oh. There we go, boys. That's significantly better than anything we've caught so far today. There we go. All right. So, big topwater walking bait. I talk about this all the time. That's not a giant bass, but significantly bigger than anything we've caught. And I was just telling my cousin who's here from Washington fishing with me. When you see gizzard shad this time of year when they're not real prevalent, that's a big deal. So this fish is I don't know, almost twice as big as anything we've caught. We've been catching a lot of little ones. So topwater walking bait. Now there is a time of the year where you're going to see a lot of gizzard shad. So that doesn't really help you when there's a ton of them, because that's not really going to attract the bass. But when you fish this giant area, you go back and forth on it several times. We already fished through here once and didn't catch anything. But when I just came back through, I saw that gizzard shad. I've been throwing a lipless and a swim bait, that small, thread fin imitator baits. The second I saw that gizzard shad, it was like, okay, we have found the juicy spot here. And it's tough in the fall. They can be everywhere, but they're not just anywhere. And timing is a big part of it, because they're just swimming all over the place and you can't get a bait to them. They're not just using that outside line. So when you get around the right bait, you really got to sit in there and pull out those bigger bait fish imitators like topwater walking bait. And that fish is pretty key. And this time of year is my favorite time of year to throw topwater. I'm not a big fan of it in the beginning of the fall. September, I don't love it. And one of the positives of throwing it this time of year is you fish it fast. I never slow down like I do in the post spawn, or even sometimes around the spawn. I'll throw it real slow, just barely moving it. This time of year is about as fast as I can move it. I don't want them to get that good of a look at it. You really got to throw it on the specific type days, super cloudy type days. That's when you want to throw it. These fish are hard to catch, but they don't get a good look at the bait when you're moving it fast. They just see that silhouette. They're excited. They're around those gizzard shad. They've been looking for them just like we have. They're not everywhere, but catching a 3-pound bass or even like a 2 3/4 pound bass compared to a 1.5-pound bass is everything this time of year. So when you find the correct bait, which are those bigger shad, and it's not always going to be the gizzard shad, sometimes it'll just be a bigger thread fin, but that is so important. Every lake I've ever been on in the fall, those bigger shad. And there's other ways, you could pull out a spinner bait with a number 7 willow leaf on it. You could throw a glide. You could throw a lot of other ways, to imitate big shad. But when you have slick, calm clouds, you're on the protected side, you're on the protected bank. Work that bait as fast as you can. Get you some 30-pound braid so you can throw it a mile. Kind of seeing them boil in other places. Make sure that braid is broken in good. It's not going to come right off the spool where you can throw it a mile. Fish with it a little bit, and then you can really bomb it out there. These fish are just going to be using this whole area. A very specific bait. They don't always get on the big topwater walking baits, and it's not always the big fish that you're going to catch on it. But when you get in this type scenario, clouds, protected bank, it's a windy day, but we're on the leeward side of the lake, and you have gizzard shad. That's it. That's the deal. That's going to work everywhere in the country. And then there's some lakes where that's the only way you can catch a big fish. As many little fish as we've caught today, this seems like this is the only way we can catch a big fish. So if I went out here tomorrow, I'd be doing the same thing. I'd be looking for gizzard shad. They're not everywhere. They seem to be in this little area right here. And just focus on that, because the size difference is, like I said earlier, they're about twice as big when you get on these fish. So not a whole lot going on in the lake right now. Seems like the fish are moving around. There's a transition period. They're not doing what they were doing in September. The grass is dying. There's just not a whole lot of cover left for them. They're probably transitioning into maybe more of the shady part of the lake, maybe the docks, or they're just kind of all over these flats. But there's nothing really holding them like there was a month ago. So you got to really grind. You got to put your head down and fish everything. But the whole key is those bigger bait fish, guys. Try that. If you're struggling to catch some size, good luck to you, and I'll see you on the water.